A rough one in St. Louis and a rough one to get things started. But we are here and we are live. Welcome to Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is January 18th, 2021. The Sharks lose a tough one in having struggles in the middle frame, 5-4 over the St. Louis Blues. Welcome to Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame show. A little different tonight due to some issues with the YouTube. We are glad to be here on Twitter. Yes, right. So if you want to be a part of the show, hit us up on the chat. Join us with fellow Sharks fans on the page or the app. And, of course, follow us on the social Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, damn you, YouTube, SoundCloud, Reddit, and, of course, our Discord. And, of course, find everything at tealtownusa.com. And, of course, this happens when I'm running the show, of course. But most importantly, something special happens every time we have Chelena Goldman on, one of our longtime guests, friends of the show. I mean, Chelena, first off, it's great to see you.
It's great to see you too. Thank you for having me. It's been too long.
It's been way too long.
The last time I saw you was, that was that game right before everything paused. Yeah. That was the last time we spoke.
That's the last time we talked with each other, about 10 months. Well, here and there, of course. I will mention, I do recall a Instagram story of somebody dancing to Michael Jackson during the middle of the pandemic, which I must say I wish we had recorded because we would love to share it on here because we need a bright spot after this game. But, Chelena, how are things? How has it been since we last talked March 11th?
I'm here. I'm alive. I have much shorter, darker hair. I have a better office setup than I did before. I really can't complain. It was kind of one of those things where the start of my year last year was already difficult. And when everything else shut down, I was kind of already there. So when everybody else started freaking out, I was like, welcome to the train wreck, guys.
Yeah.
When's Zoom happy hour? So I really can't complain. I'm just happy that sports are back. I'm happy that hockey's back. It's nice.
It's really nice to have sports back. As much as the Sharks have struggled these last two games, you appreciate everything that's there rather than dealing with real world problems. You have hockey problems, I guess you could say. So it's great to have you here. We appreciate each and every one of you on. Sorry that we are over here on the Twitter machine. For those who missed Twitter mission, I guess you can kind of have it there. So appreciate you each and all joining us here on this night as the Sharks began a 2-game series with the St. Louis Blues. They start off early. I thought there was good pressure going back and forth about 8:28 in. LeBanc takes a slashing call, but he makes up for it by getting a goal early. And I thought, Kevin LeBanc had a good night overall.
Yeah, I think this was this was his best game of the three that they've played. That line in particular, it's kind of just been Couture has been leading the show, and both Timo and Kevin LeBanc hadn't done too much. I didn't see Timo as much tonight. I thought he was much hungrier in that second game against Arizona. But even with that penalty early, I liked LeBanc's game much better tonight.
Yeah, I thought he came out with a lot more gusto, and yeah, we see there's going to be good games from, we'll use Timo as an example, not to say he had a bad game, but you will see Meyer have a strong first couple of games, then it's not like, it's going to balance out. Okay, he's not going to be on there right away. All right, Banker, Couture, let's go. Let's get things going. So he gets a goal there, make it 1-0. Then, St. Louis, who comes off a horrific game, 8-0 to Colorado, gives up 5 power play goals. They take another penalty for slashing Couture, and then Couture buries one on the power play. They left him wide open there.
It was really interesting. I was really expecting for St. Louis to come into the game, come right into that first period, and be as strong as they were that next 40 minutes. They didn't have the gusto I thought they were going to come in with after getting just annihilated by the Avs last week.
Right.
It was so, but and that's not to take away from the fact that I thought that the Sharks looked really strong in that first period, but I don't think that St. Louis was playing up to their potential at that start either. I think when they came into that second, I even tweeted this out before it happened. They came into the second really ready, and the Sharks they kind of did something similar on Saturday in Arizona, where they had this really strong first period, and then they didn't completely fall flat or fall asleep, but they started just getting a little too loose, and those couple little things are going to end up in the back of your net. I really liked Devin Dubnyk's game for the most part. He had a couple goals I didn't love. That first one that Falk scored right out of the bin, I didn't love, but
Yeah.
I really liked his game for the most part. He looked really confident in net. I thought that he's like 8 feet tall, so he's able to cover so much space. And I thought overall he actually did a pretty good job at couples some sloppy play, especially in that second frame
Oh yeah.
by the team in front of him. That ended up costing them. So even though they went 2 for 3 on the power play, they were much better in the face-off circle tonight. Even though they had these things, I think they blocked 10 shots to St. Louis's 4. Even though they had all these things going for them, a couple sloppy things, and you can't do that against a team like St. Louis that's
Right.
not just one of the best in their division, but they're one of the best teams in the league right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it'd be hard pressed to say to have Vegas, Colorado, St. Louis be the top three that goes into the playoffs from the West Division. I would be surprised, and you kind of expected St. Louis to come back with a vengeance with everything going on after that game. So, but I want to ask you this, because these games are in series, these 2-game series to help alleviate the travel and such. Do you see how a team can can learn from one game and then adjust it and look completely different in the second?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We actually saw Arizona do this
Mm-hmm.
against San Jose last week. They made adjustments from their first game where, they definitely showed their rust. And then they came back and were able to be stronger in that second game.
Yeah.
So I do believe that there is, it's not quite a baseball type schedule, but where you do play a team, when you play a team more than once in a row, and you can learn things. So it's different from, we got beat by St. Louis, we need to learn from these mistakes, but you're going to play a totally different team. That bit of familiarity can work to the Sharks' advantage. Now it can also work to their disadvantage, because St. Louis might be like, okay, well, they're going to take their foot off the gas in the second period. Oh, well, we can get around Erik Karlsson on the outside, so on and so forth.
Right.
So it can go both ways, but I do see the potential, since we saw it again with the Sharks' last opponent. I do see the potential to take this and be like, okay, we can learn from this, and then immediately apply what we've learned in the next game.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that you're going to have that, and it's almost like a little bit of a series early on. You kind of figure out everything that happens, and then the rest of the series, you kind of flow through it, and you kind of know all the tendencies. Here it's just 2 games, and so you kind of get an idea of what they're going to be like and how you can adapt to it. We're getting some quotes, and AJ, thank you for getting these quotes post game. From Logan Couture, I like our power play and the way we were attacking off the rush. We can improve all aspects of the game. And Burnsy saying, we haven't played hockey in a long time. No excuse, just a fact. We're going to get better. Try not to think so much. And Burnsy also went on to say, there's a lot of things we can improve on. We are evaluating all the time.
I actually agree with something that he's said about, the constant evaluation.
Right.
Because I mean, they are coming in with, these crazy circumstances. I mean, not that every other team has as well, but they haven't played in their home barn this whole entire time because
Yeah.
they can't. And there are a lot of different pieces to this team right now. This isn't the exact same team as last year. You have more new guys coming in. And this is, Bugner's, first, full. This is going to be his first full season behind the bench.
Right.
So there is that evaluation period. And like you said, there's no excuse. That's just kind of how it is. It's not every team is going to get it right off, right out of the gate in that first game. But to what Logan said, there were a lot of there were things that were good about their game. There's also a lot that they still have to work on and still have to clean up. It's very rare, even if they'd gone 3-0 so far, there would still be things where there'd still be areas where Couture would be like, we need to clean this up. We still need to clean this up. But if a team doesn't think they have things to work on, then that's a concern.
Right. And if you were moving smoothly and everything and dominating teams left and right, that's, yeah, I mean, you have nothing to worry about and keep going. But the thing is that, you gave up 4 goals in the second period. You have Falk right out of the penalty box, former Shark legend for 90 minutes, Mike Hoffman. Burnsy gets one back to make it 3-2, but then, Shen gets one to tie it up, and then near the end of the period, Falk gets a second one. For that, you can't have 4-goal periods, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think they said it on the broadcast tonight, the Sharks were outscored in 9-1 in their first 3 games.
And that's, and just in second periods, they've been just so heavily outscored. And I wouldn't go so far as to say that they didn't play, that they're not playing a full 60, or that, they're only like a 1-period team. I wouldn't go that far by any means, because they did still do some good things in that second period. But it's, you can't do that, particularly against a team like St. Louis that is not just coming off of that loss to Colorado, but they are a team that can make you pay. They're incredibly physical, and they've also gotten faster. They're coming up closer to how Colorado is, and so you have to be aware of that. And trading off goals with them, that still kind of puts you on the edge. You can't give them any room to squeak in. And there were a couple points where Dubnyk was rolling around on the ice trying to keep the puck out, and wasn't getting a lot of help. And team in front of him can't let that happen.
No, and that's the thing, is that and kind of we'll go through some of the chat, because there is something that a lot of people were saying. Chanjo T97 saying Dubnyk looks solid tonight. PT1680 was saying Dubnyk wasn't bad when Burns and Carl hung up to dry. EK65 and Burns can't keep piling up minuses. I mean, and of course, Radio Rob, we should never trade away Mike Hoffman. Yeah. Yeah, that's the tough part. But yeah, Burnsy a -2, Erik Karlsson a -3 tonight. On the defensive side, you have Leonard and Hurdle, along with Marlowe and Kane at -2. It's tough. I mean, and as much as I want to say they have some good firepower, this team I don't think is built to win 6-5.
No, well, I don't think any team should be. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think that's good hockey. You want low scoring games. You want tighter defense. Burns and Karlsson, very similar stories. They both had points during this game where they looked really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But then they were also on the ice when goals got scored. And it's both of them, especially early in seasons, that's kind of the usual story. They'll just be on both ends of the spectrum every game. And yeah, like you just said, this team isn't built to give up that many goals, because they aren't capable of coming back and overcoming those deficits.
and you can't do that. I think even people were complaining about how the Leafs were just scoring in bunches and then just leaving Freddie Anderson out to dry as well. You can't do it. You just can't do whatsoever in that way and leave him hung out to dry. I mean, yeah, you look at how Dubnik kept them in this game, but then you also look at 26 saves on 30, or excuse me, 27 saves on 32 shots, and 844 save percentage. People are going to look at that and be like, "Ooh, that's not good."
Yeah.
But when you deep dive into it, you're going to have something there. But okay, well, maybe it wasn't completely his fault, but even then, 844 is something the Sharks need to have improve net mining wise in order to win these games. So Couture gets his second from LeBanc and Shimmick. Shimmick, I think the Sharks Reddit went crazy when Shimmick scored or his first point. I don't know. I mean, I'm new to Reddit, so it's all like, okay, go Shimmick for sure. But unfortunately, a bad line change bites the Sharks hard, with Kyrou getting off a crazy shot that beats Dubnik. That kind of looked like it went through the leg of a Sharks defender and past Dubnik for the game winner.
There were a couple of those tonight too.
Yeah,
There were a couple of those that seemed to kind of elude Shark's demon's legs, and I'm sure Dubnik did not appreciate that.
no,
Um, yeah, that's. I mean, just that line change. I mean, that was rough to watch. That was just, yeah, that wasn't good. You don't want to see that from any team. I mean, Kyrou's shot was also crazy,
yeah,
but the Blues took full advantage of that bad change. But yeah, you got it. The Sharks can't be doing that, especially if you're in a back and forth battle with a team that's going to punish you like that.
yeah. And that's the tough part of it all, because you know who you're going up against. No disrespect to Arizona, but you know St. Louis is hungry to go back to the final, and if you're a team that wants to get that fourth spot, it's like I said, top three I think are set. They'll jockey for position, but between 4 and 8, it's a fight for that one spot, and you need games like this, and Thursday night Arizona, they had a lead. They lost it with 3 seconds left. Saturday, they had a lead, lost it again. Tonight, they had a 2-0 lead, and then, of course, squat 4 goals. And then eventually, they come back to tie it, but they lose it midway through the third. That being said, uh, some positivity, I guess, is what we could use right now as to what can go on with the Sharks. I mean, yes, it's 3 games in to a 56-game season, but let's give them some kudos before we tear this place down.
Oh yeah, there's no reason to go bury under the covers and hope that everybody gets traded. We don't need to go there yet, or fans don't need to go there yet. Excuse me. It's again, it's early, and they are doing things well. They look much better right now than they did 3 games into last season.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. But this, the sloppy play in the middle of games is costing them, and that was even something in the first game. Even though they won that game, it's these little miscues. And like, yeah, you also have to give Arizona some credit. Like I know they've been kind of a down and out team for several seasons, but they looked pretty sharp in those first 2 games. So they're definitely a team that the Sharks have to contend with. Like you had mentioned before, though, it's not all doom and gloom. The Sharks do get to face the Blues again immediately, and you can take a lot of positives from that. It's not just working on their own game, but seeing, okay, we know exactly who our opponent is. We just saw them 2 days ago, and I think you can get a better game strategy from
Right.
that.
And that's where you're going to have to rely on looking at tape. I mean, looking at everything you've done, kind of seeing where you can improve. I mean, For instance, the Sharks were awful in the faceoff circle last game. Tonight they were 53%. So definitely a vast improvement over the nightmare of it. Um, they were 2 for 3 on the power play. We'll give them that. The power play isn't bad. You hold St. Louis scoreless on their power play chances, which is good. Um, so some bright spots in there for sure. But
Well, that's something to look at too. Is that St. Louis's special teams are not very good. That is an area where the Sharks can beat them, and they did that tonight. But then you look at, okay, well, but our defense 5-on-5 isn't showing up. What are we, what's going on? Not to say that they didn't show up for the entire game, but just getting sloppy and getting behind plays, just that can't happen.
in potentially conditioning, getting back into gameplay for sure. Another quote from Bugner coming in: "You can only do so much after taking a while. You have to change personnel." So
What was that in relation to?
yeah, that's what I'm curious about. You can only do so much talking after a while. You have to change personnel. I'm curious as to what that's referring to. AJ, if you're able to give
We
us
need
any
context here.
elaboration on that, because that's an interesting comment coming from a head coach 3 games in.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you've been in a locker room uh, with, especially after the coaching change. How is Bugner different with as compared to his old bench boss PDB?
He's Pete doesn't necessarily. I don't know if he's still like this now that he's coaching Vegas or not. What I saw from Bugner in particular was that he has absolutely no problem changing up lines and giving different things a go if things aren't working. And I'm not just talking about like mid game. DeBoer liked to shuffle up his lines in like the third period and then go back to the same ones next day. Bugner's not afraid to promote or demote guys. He's not afraid to change things up at any point. Um, so again, I don't know if AJ gave you any context to what that was about. So that could just be about the fact that he isn't afraid to shuffle things up. The fact that he's been with this team more than once, even before he became head coach. He knows a lot of these players really well. And even so, he's not afraid to tell somebody, you need to step your game up. I'm not happy with this. This needs to happen, and this needs to happen, and this needs to happen. He's very upfront about that. And I think that's good, especially for a team like this that's getting younger and has guys that are coming in new and needing to take on more responsibility.
Yeah, and for the youngsters, they are expected to take that next step. It didn't happen last year, and we saw what happened there. The youngsters and the new players like Donato scored, on Saturday against the Desert Dogs. We'd have a drink here, but can't right now. But those guys need to be on the roll, and we saw it a few years ago when LeBanc and Meyer came in. You got to run with it. Spaced out Mike with I guess a good comment there. Sharks scoring first each game so far is good to see. # silver lining.
That is good to see. No, it's definitely good to see them get on the board first. That was a problem last season. It was even kind of a problem at the start of the campaign before that, where they would run into trouble with getting in, especially getting into an early hole. And so the fact that they haven't had to dig out, that definitely gives them more of a platform to win on. But I want to say it was maybe the 2013-14 season. I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember because this is off the top of my head. I want to say it was the 2013-14 season where they got into a habit of scoring early and getting 2-3 goal leads and then just completely losing them. And they would get a goal or get 2 goals and it would look good, and then Niemi would be like, oh, I'm not showing up now. And it's so it's one of those things where that is good, but they have to be able to build off of that, not just for that first period. They need to be able to come out of the intermission and still be playing strong.
Right, and that's the thing. You got to find consistency. I mean, granted, they had found consistency. Easy for me to say, consistency. By allowing a goal like within the first 5 minutes of the period, that seemed like to be a nightmare, especially against Las Vegas. Okay, and again, another thing to look for down the road, hopefully for the Sharks, as they will play again Thursday against St. Louis, and this one starts at 5:30,
Yes.
for sure, on that one. But how do you like these two game series? We touched on it earlier, as to how you can kind of get back and see what you did wrong and change things and 2 nights later. How do you like this setup?
I actually like it a lot. It is different, and they're also not seeing as many teams. It also affects kind of how as a reporter how I watch games. You're used to watching so many teams all at the same time because you have all these because everyone's coming up on the schedule. But the Sharks, they're not going to see Edmonton during this 56 game stretch. They're not going to see Vancouver like they normally do. You know, Having a 2 game series against St. Louis or against Minnesota, it's kind of wacky. But so it changes how you watch it, from a writer and from a reporter standpoint. But then it also affects and how you kind of plan. Just from my standpoint, from watching it, it also affects sort of how you analyze each team because teams have that chance to play each other multiple times within a short stretch and learn from all these things. So I mean, it's definitely different. I like it. There's some certain things I don't love about it, but I think overall it's definitely different. But I do like certain things about seeing a team multiple times just in that stretch and having it not be like a back to back situation or something.
Right. Which, I mean, granted, I think the Sharks are going to have some. Uh,
They have a couple coming up, not this month, but
yeah. And to correct myself, and thank you, Change OT 97. It's Wednesday. I'm so used to them literally being Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah.
Everything's just thrown off. It's like we just went like, you know what? You have all your ideas. We're just going to go with that and get out of here. Sorry for the mic, folks. But it's kind of like that. And hockey stat card saying Erik Karlsson's lowest ranked skater on the ice tonight. Oh God, lovely.
One of the things about Erik Karlsson, I'm sure that you and I have talked about this before. And so clearly it doesn't matter that there was a 10-month layoff or whatever it is. He usually starts off his seasons a little slower. Even his Norris Trophy campaigns, he like his Octobers, he's usually kind of still getting into game shape, and then he exploded. So it's just with Shimmick being, coming back, and he's probably still not 100% healthy. When you have a beat up blue line, guys like Erik Karlsson are the guys who are going to get that, more minutes, are going to get more play time. And so for him to make these egregious mistakes, that's what hurts them more. I'm not saying it's all in Erik Karlsson. However, however, he needs to be better.
He needs to be definitely way better, indeed. It's I look at your earrings and I saw them on Twitter earlier. It's like they kind of go with the Sharks fans right now. There's some
so one is sweet,
yes,
and the other one is salty. I think like this fits. They win, maybe I'll change them up.
Right. I mean, seriously, I think it'll be great to those might need to be on sale at the Shark store is basically what we're saying.
Just have them in all teal.
Right, exactly. See? So Jonathan Becker, Doug Pence, if you're watching, and I know you do, just saying, we might have to get to that. You
And
know,
put that in a value pack and make me a Hella Dudes shirt.
uh,
Just
yes,
saying.
yes, yes. Uh, you know, HA checking in. Hey, bud. When you're the highest paid D in the league, there's no excuse to a slow start, in my opinion. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's an excuse. I'm just pointing out, because I remember looking at it last. No, it was 2 seasons ago when Carlson first came over to San Jose. I remember taking a look, just kind of back over the seasons, and that's just. I
Just how
think that
he is.
that's just kind of how it is. And like I said, even his when he was the guy who won the Norris, he didn't shoot out the gate in October playing perfect hockey. This is kind of how he is.
Yeah. And Laurel, our good friend. Yeah. Hashtag
Oh,
hello dudes. Laurel, I hope you had a nice birthday the other day, my friend. Hope you're doing well.
happy belated, Laurel.
Yeah. But yeah, hella dudes. That and then the one you had tonight for LeBanc. Well, you had a bunch of them for LeBanc. You were on a
Yeah,
roll.
it's fun. It's just it cracks me up. I do miss interviewing Kevin LeBanc. He's a great interview. He's great to talk to, whether he's playing well or not. He's a chatterbox. Great interview. I remember it was a practice. It was a non-game day practice, and somebody else asked him. He said, is your last name actually pronounced Labonte? And so he was like, yeah, my parents are from such and such and such, and it is Labonte. But then they came over here, and everybody says LeBanc. Like, what? It's just he makes fun of himself, so that just makes it more fun.
It's one of those things where you could totally picture him in his head, and you could hear like a little bit the New York accent coming out. Yeah, it's
So
LeBanc.
funny. Yeah, LeBanc.
You know, in the box, and then he would score a la goal.
Yes.
To which I'm like hoping we can hear your Rick Jenneret impression, and I can't get in trouble for
I
this
saw
one,
that. I
guys.
saw that was funny.
So,
Um, yeah, I don't have a good one. I wish I did. That would have made this more fun, but
all
sorry to
right.
disappoint.
We'll let it slide this time, but next time we might have to have that happen, especially if the banker deposits another one in the net for sure. Getting back to that because you have been in the room. Tell me how who's the best to, I won't say the best, but who's one of your favorites to get a soundbite from, or just get kind of lets the hair down per se of in the
Well,
room.
one of the things I liked, I like talking to guys when the cameras aren't there. Um, that's just kind of a prevalent. When I worked for NBC, they liked me to ask stuff when the cameras were there. But there are certain days. A guy like Timo, I like talking to Timo better when there isn't a camera there. I remember talking to him on one of the first days of training camp last year, and I'm getting all ready to record and ask him stuff. He started asking me how my summer was. If there's a camera there, that's probably not going to happen.
Right.
I enjoyed talking to him. I think everybody knows her. I think everyone knows that Hurdle's great to talk to, no matter what. You can talk to about anything with him. He's wonderful. I do miss talking to Brendan Dillon. He was always great to talk
Mm-hmm.
to. LeBank's really good. Couture's wonderful to talk to. He remembers specific things and will go into X's and O's with you. If you want to break down something, get really nitty gritty, he'll stand and talk to you for forever. He's great to talk to. There isn't really anybody in there that's not fun, but those are kind of my guys who I really like who I like to talk to. Brent Burns. It wasn't on a game day. It wasn't on a game day. I covered a thing that he did. This was actually outside the rink. I covered a thing he did at an elementary school in San Jose. And he was helping he was working with all of these kids, and he went into total dad mode. And it was just the greatest thing ever. And I sat to talk to him afterward, and it was like talking to a little kid. He and I are the same age, and I felt like I was talking to this little kid who was also, like 2 feet taller than me.
You
Um,
know, there was one time I was able to, and just because there's so much room at Levi's, but when I covered the outdoor game, and that after that practice, we got we're waiting for Burnsy, and everybody's starting to clear out, and I forget who was talking to Burnsy's wife, and he's like, "Yeah, it's like having another kid." And then all of a sudden, you see him like bouncing all around, going woohoo, 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 woohoo. It's
yeah,
like a little boy to
yeah,
bouncing all over the place. But yeah, I mean, come on,
yeah,
Burnsy's just fun to
yeah.
chat with for sure.
I mean, really, that's a really good room. You know, the guys. I mean, they're all professional. They're all good to talk to. I am bummed that they're in Arizona right now because Matt Nieto's back, and Matt Nieto is wonderful, and I want to talk to him. So hopefully they're able to come back to San Jose soon because he's a doll. I caught up with him when the Sharks played the Avs in the 2019 playoffs. Um, Always a joy to talk to. Side note, sidebar, since I'm on here,
Go for it.
um, I don't remember if I talked about this with you or not. I had a fan, so I did. So right before Game One against Colorado, went to Avs practice. Went to talk to Nieto, talked to a couple of the other guys in there. That's a good locker room. And I put my story up, and this one fan, I don't remember who it was. Whoever this person was did not like me, and went off on this tirade telling me that nobody cared that Matt Nieto is from Long Beach, and that nobody cares because
What?
nobody wants to hear about him because he's not a Shark anymore. And I was just, I was like, okay, like you don't have to follow me if you don't want to, dude.
Wow.
Like, I was like,
I'm sorry.
dang
That
it.
no. No, no, no. We're you cannot. I'm sorry. No offense to anybody who's gonna say that. First off, I'm gonna offend you. Be like, how dare you talk uh to Chelena like that? But I mean, honestly, I mean, when you talk about Matt
Look
Nieto,
at that guy.
you
Look at that guy.
I mean, yes, one, he's sharp as cheddar, but I mean, it's part of the drinking game now. Long Beach native reference. Come on.
All the time. I told Randy Hahn that this fan had gone off of me, and he was like, "You're kidding me. You have got to be kidding me."
Right.
And I was like, "No, I'm not." Like, it's just yeah. It's
That
my little sidebar.
I am disappointed. I mean, yeah, like in hockey and Ghost Felix, number one, how dare you dot give. you know,
I
uh,
I want that on like a beanie.
right?
I would totally wear that.
Dare
How
you?
dare you?
Right? I mean, come on. That's great.
Yeah.
That's one that's messed up. But yeah, but Randy going,
And
what?
I remember telling him, and he was like, "What?" And he was like, "You're joking." I was like, "No, no." Somebody like legitimately was not happy with me. It was like nobody cares.
Oh boy.
And I was like, "Since when?" It's like,
No.
"What family are you from?"
Yeah.
It was weird. It was so weird.
It's nobody cares. Sounds like he works for a sports station in the Bay Area. Oh gosh, yes. AJ saying yes, and I completely agree with you. We're going to get Shalina here regularly. Yes.
Sure,
Uh,
absolutely.
yeah.
I have more blazers and band tees that I can wear.
Hey,
I can have a whole wardrobe.
you should stand back for a second and
I
show off the
should,
on.
so you guys can see.
Hey, now
So
in our
we're
fashion
wearing,
sense.
we're wearing the blue blazer and the Jimmy Page tee that I've had since high school.
Nice.
Yes, yes.
You,
So
I'm not gonna lie. That blue blazer, I'm like waiting for you to ask me to sit back down in my seat at the Shark Tank, though.
well, so I wouldn't wear this to games because I would look like the SAP Center, like the people that work there. I remember going to wear it one time and I was like, ooh, maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't. People are going to ask me like where their seats are.
But no, I think if you follow Chelena on Instagram along with on Twitter, you've always have your fancy fashion sense, and I'm like, wow, I if I ever get into the press box one day, I better make sure my game is on strong.
I do, and that's the part of me that's very. I know we're getting away from hockey. That's the part of me that is very very girly. I love dressing up to go to games. I miss having my nice outfits to change into for game night. I do miss that.
but
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 this
go ahead.
but this works, and this way I can also still wear my slippers. So that's a plus.
Not gonna lie, I talked to Randy Hahn about that last week. It's like, what are you gonna wear? It's like, well, I don't know if we're going chest up. I mean, I don't know, but I could still rock the fuzzy slippers if I wanted to.
There you go. There
Hey,
you go.
why not? I
Might as
would
well.
seriously. I mean, come on, what do you got to lose? I mean,
Exactly.
we're all like this. I mean, I could show you the Sharks shorts I have on, but I'll spare anybody. You know, the girlfriend might be the only one that's like, yeah, sure, and like, no, and everybody's like, no, no, no.
I
So,
have. I almost wore it today, but it was in the wash. So my boyfriend got me a "Don't mansplain hockey to me" shirt.
oh, nice.
Um, I went over to his place. This was like a couple of years ago. I went over to his place. He was like, "So I got you something," and I was like, "I'm assuming that it's like food." And,
It's like I'm hungry. Come on.
and there's this, and there was this shirt. He was like, "I hope it fits." It's awesome. It's a great shirt. I think I wore it into NBC one day. I wear it out. I would wear it out, when things were open. I wear it out, and people that I know from my neighborhood would come up and be like, "So the Capitals are doing da 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 da." I'm like, "Don't talk to me. Just stop. Just make it stop."
Oh, jeez. No, Shalane is one of our favorite reporters, writers, and everything. We always appreciate her because you and I think it was like within a couple of weeks of time we had you on, and then we had Brody on, and that was the first year when it was myself, AJ. I see Chris is in the chat. Gentry as well. I mean, the four of us there, and you specifically. No offense, Brody, if you're watching. Uh, have always been supportive for what we do for God, 6 years now. Holy crap!
That's crazy. This is my ninth season covering the team. This is season number 9 for me.
Where
How
the
crazy is that?
where the heck did it go?
How
And
crazy is that? I was still writing for Bay Area Sports Guy the first time I came on here
wow,
days ago.
wow, and it's
Hell it is.
in that 9 years ago. So she was only 16 at the time, folks.
I was a child.
Yes,
Child.
absolutely.
My mom had to drive me.
Right. No, you're getting no Uber yet.
Nope.
No Barry Yeso station in San Jose yet. I mean, shoot. Oh boy. Yeah. The AJ, Brody was butthurt that Shalena's video got more views. All right. Well, we're having fun, but let's commemorate something today. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and the NHL has been talking about that, along with the 63rd anniversary of Willie O'Ree breaking the color barrier, playing with the Boston Bruins. Uh, you know, the, the guy is finally getting his due. And I'm glad, and he's been such a great hockey ambassador. And I know he's been all over the place. I know he came in for like the All Star weekend, but he's usually here at least yearly basis. Um,
He comes around maybe once a year.
yeah,
It's maybe once a season. You see him. He does so much work. He does a lot. I know they showed something on TV earlier tonight that kind of highlighted it. He does a ton of work with youth hockey. He does a lot of work with youth hockey, and has a really really good way of talking to not just like little kids, but even like tweens who are kind of considering
hmm
the game of hockey. He's done so much, and the fact that it's he has been recognized, but I'm happy to see that he's getting the amount of recognition that he truly deserves finally,
absolutely.
because he's just done so much for the game, even after he stopped playing.
And it's so nice, and he's going to get his number retired by the Bruins uh, later this season, which I think is well overdue. Correct me if I'm wrong here. He is a Hall of Famer now, so it's nice to see him finally gaining the kudos, especially for what he does in the community now. So huge stick taps to him, and of course, huge stick taps to you, Chelena, because I appreciate you every time you come on. It was always a good time. So, as we wrap this up, your final thoughts and where the people can find you.
Oh, just come and find me on Twitter. Come throw me a line. Just don't try to tell me that you don't care that Matt Nieto's from Long
Oh,
Beach, because everybody cares.
everybody cares.
That's important.
And she said Long Beach, so Long Beach native reference. There you go.
Yay.
She's at Chelena Goldman. I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. If you missed anything and want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio. We're running out of those, I think. If we aren't, let us know by all means. And yes, this will be posted to YouTube later tonight. So if you are a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, even though something happened. And it's this time not my fault. So don't blame me this time. We'll be back with you on Wednesday night, not Thursday, as I previously said. Wednesday night after the Sharks finish up their 2-game series against the St. Louis Blues. That is at 5:30. The start time there, so be on the lookout for that. Chelena, as always, appreciate you, my dear. Thank you so much, as always. Sharks fans, appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back with you Wednesday, and until then, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. Have a great night, everyone. We will see you after the game on Wednesday.